Man, let me tell you all how this whole mess went down. The HOA thought they could fine me for hunting, and I turned the table so hard on them, they're still picking their jaws up off the floor. See, I grew up country. Hunting wasn't some hobby, it was life. My dad put a rifle in my hands before I could even tie my own boots, and we spent dawn after dawn out in the woods. It wasn't about killing for sport. It was about tradition, respect, and keeping that connection to the land. Fast forward a few years, and I end up buying this house in what looks like the perfect neighborhood, right up against miles of woods. In my head, I'm thinking, heck yeah, I can work all week and then head straight into the trees when I need some peace. But nah, the HOA had other plans. You know how they are, always nitpicking. First, they sent me letters about my truck in the driveway. Then the grass. Then some nonsense about my trash can being visible from the street. Whatever. I shrugged it off like, fine, y'all do you. But then they crossed a line. One morning, I got this envelope in the mail. A fine. For hunting. They straight up told me I was breaking rules. Endangering the community. Like, excuse me? I wasn't out there blasting deer in my neighbor's backyard. I was deep in the woods, minding my business, doing what I've done my whole life. But to them? Nah, I didn't fit their little perfect picture. I remember standing on my porch, holding that paper, thinking, all right, now it's war. So I show up to the next HOA meeting. Rooms are packed, neighbors sitting there like they're in a courtroom. The president, this smug dude who loves the sound of his own voice, is droning on about safety and community standards. When they finally give me the floor, I lay it all out. I tell him hunting is my right, it's safe, it's tradition, and I ain't hurting a soul. But they ain't hearing me. They vote right there on the spot, fine stands, case closed. Man, I left that meeting fuming. But instead of blowing up, I started thinking. If they wanted a fight, I wasn't about to play on their little turf. I was gonna flip the script. And then it hit me, the land. See, everybody in that neighborhood loves bragging about the trails. Miles of hiking right outside your back door. Blah, blah, blah. Families walked them. Kids played in them. Joggers ran through them every morning. But guess what? HOA didn't own a single inch of it. None. The woods were private land, and some old timber company was quietly trying to sell it off. Nobody noticed, but I did. So I made some calls, sold off a couple of investments, dug into savings, took a big OL risk. But after a few weeks, boom, papers signed. The land, all those woods, all those trails, mine. Every last acre. You should have seen their faces the day I posted those signs. Private property. No trespassing. Big, bold, can't miss letters. Folks came storming to my door, yelling that I was ruining the community. I just smiled and said, funny how that works, huh? The same board that fined me now had to tell their neighbors the trails were gone. Their precious selling point vanished overnight. And the best part? Legally, they couldn't do a damn thing. That land was never theirs. They just acted like it was. So now, every jogger, every family, every dog walker, they were out. Shut down permanently. From there, it was chaos. The HOA president called meeting after meeting, trying to spin it and pin it on me. But the neighbors weren't buying it. They started turning on the board, asking why they hadn't bought the land themselves. Property values dipped. People were mad. And the same president who smirked at me was suddenly sweating bullets. And me? I just sat back on my porch with a cold beer, watching it all unfold. This wasn't just about revenge, though. It was about principle. They thought they could erase my roots, tell me my way of life didn't belong. But guess what? Their own arrogance cost them the one thing they loved the most. They wanted control. Instead, they lost it all. There's some sweet irony in it. They fined me for hunting, so I took away their hikes, their trails, their bragging rights. Now the woods are quiet, growing wild again. And every time the HOA drives past those no trespassing signs, they get reminded who actually holds the power. Sometimes the best payback ain't yelling or fighting. It's making a move so sharp, so unexpected, that the other side doesn't even know what hit him. They thought they broke me. Nah, they broke themselves. And now, when I sit out there listening to the woods, my woods, I can't help but wonder, How many other folks are out there being bullied by some HOA drunk on power? How many are just waiting for their shot to turn the tables? Because if there's one thing I learned, it's this: the quiet guy with history on his side. He's usually the one you shouldn't mess with.